I've listened to Purple Rain by Prince for years.
And I listened to it once yesterday.
Welcome to Spin It. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spin It, the record-ranking podcast for people who'd rather be listening to music. I'm James, and with me, taking him with me, it's Connor.
Take me with you.
That's what I said, I'm taking you with me.
Let's go crazy.
Let's go crazy, let's do it.
Because we're the beautiful ones.
Oh, wow, thank you. What a compliment.
Yeah. Was it enough to make you cry?
Like a dove. But I'm not a dove. Baby, I'm a star.
I would die for you.
Thanks. This week we're talking about Prince.
Just giving up on the last two.
Seems easy enough. Now, I know you were looking forward to this episode because last week you deliberately didn't take more for your top three because you knew Prince was coming.
Yeah.
There's only 9 songs on this album. You'd already get to choose almost half of it in your top 3. So you must have really high expectations for this album, or some familiarity with Prince, or both.
This was an album that I feel like I'd listened to most of the songs before, but had never actually listened to the album.
Really? Well, like, out of the 9, how many?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. So over half.
Wow. And that must have been a promising start then.
Maybe.
Have you seen, I guess if you've only listened to 5 of the songs, you probably haven't seen Purple Rain the movie.
You know, I have. I wasn't really counting hearing because I was only really counting songs that like I've listened to the song as just a song, not just as like a soundtrack.
As part of the movie.
Yeah, I wasn't really counting that.
Well, if you have seen the movie, that means you've probably got a leg up on me, because I haven't seen the movie yet.
I always have a leg up on you.
I'm actually a little jealous. I feel like I want to watch Purple Rain. I want to understand. I want to see it.
Yeah?
I want to see Prince in action.
You could watch it, and you could watch its sequel.
There's a sequel to Purple Rain?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Purple Puddle?
No, it's called Graffiti Bridge.
Interesting.
It's a standalone sequel to Purple Rain and has its own album as well.
If you're trying to tee me up to fall for a Mixtaper lie, I don't think that counts if you say it here.
If I say the lie here?
Yeah.
I'm not teeing you up for anything.
Okay, just checking. So you know some stuff for Purple Rain. What about other Prince? 1999 and Raspberry Beret.
Yeah, of course.
Little Red Corvette. What I found out is beyond those big hits, I honestly didn't know much. I was really excited to dig into Purple Rain and figure out some of the hype around what Prince was about. Now, this was years ago, but Purple Rain was my first Prince album, and I was jazzed about it. And it delivered. It really delivered. Not to spoil too much, but, we're here, so you could probably already imagine some of where we're headed. Prince is one of the most interesting characters, I think, in pop music.
In like an interesting weird way, or like an interesting cool way, or
just both.
What kind of interesting?
He kind of has this like aura about him.
I always put Prince in the same category kind of as David Bowie, in that he has this weird crossover with the like pop culture world of movies and stuff, and has a lot of notable music, but also just has a lot of stuff that I hadn't really heard of. Those two have always kind of felt like they were in the same camp when it came to their popularity and their crossovers.
Yeah, I've never thought to compare them that way before, but that makes a lot of sense to me. Like, the experimental kind of energy to their music matches up really well.
Yep.
Interesting. And some of the more eclectic things, too. I mean, David Bowie went through his whole Ziggy Stardust phase, and Prince went through his whole Love Symbol, the artist formerly known as Prince, phase. Like, there are definitely a lot of parallels in their journeys. But one of the things that's always fascinated me about Prince, too, is how much of Prince we don't know yet. And we'll get to it when we talk about his career and the end of it. But, I mean, I remember when Prince passed away several years ago, just reading article upon article about how much was left in the vault and being shocked that one man could create so much, and that also, like, still have so much out. Like, what a body of work this man compiled over the course of his life. And he's just always had this, just this aura of intrigue and, like, I don't know, not even mystery, but like just born to be a pop star, really.
Yep.
I mean, his name is Prince, for crying out loud. You're setting yourself up for success with a name like Prince. And that actually is his given name, right? Prince, or the artist currently known as Prince, but formerly known as the artist formerly known as Prince. That's his given name. But it's not a stage name. He was born Prince Rogers Nelson, which is cool.
Pretty good name.
I know, right?
Nelson's a little meh. but
You think?
I don't know. Nelson just feels like a nerd name.
We won't pair it with Prince, which is the opposite of a nerd name.
Yeah. So they kind of, that is it. It kind of brings Prince down a little, I think.
He's just neutrally buoyant. Well, that's why he didn't go by Prince Nelson.
Like, just imagine just being like Prince Rogers. Like, imagine there wasn't a Nelson there, and it was just Prince Rogers. Pretty good.
You're right.
I feel like Nelson detracts a little.
Perhaps. Still, though, so cool.
I'm gonna name my son King.
Just to one-up Prince. Just to flex on Prince. This is my son, King. King Nelson.
Is he in that regard? Maybe it's that there's Rogers and Nelson, because King Nelson kind of sounded fun too.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it's the Rogers Nelson combo I just don't like. Maybe individually they're both fun.
Could be. Son of Nell. Well, Prince, parentheses Rogers Nelson, was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota on June 7th, 1958.
Minnesota.
The 50s surprises me.
He died young,
He did.
which makes him feel older because of the fact that he died, right?
Yeah,
And again, that air of mystery of all the unreleased music, right? I feel like that ages him in a way.
definitely it does. And I mean, really affects how we remember him and his legacy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, his parents, when he was born, were both jazz musicians. And I guess after he was born too. But when he was born, they were still jazz musicians. And his mother was a singer. His father played the piano. And Prince Rogers was actually his father's stage name, one of his father's stage names. And it became his namesake. People would call his dad Prince Rogers. So when he had a son, it was very obvious to name him Prince Rogers Nelson. Kind of like a junior, but not quite. He's almost like a Prince Jr. PJ. His dad said that he decided to name Prince after himself because he wanted his son to do everything I wanted to do. So that's cool. Just a little bit of just projecting good ambitions onto his son, which is cool. And when he was growing up, we sit here and say it's a really cool name, and it is. But when he was a kid, he didn't like his name much, and he tried to go by other nicknames.
Well, it is the kind of name you probably get bullied for.
Yeah, by the kids who don't know how cool it is.
Kids are really mean.
By all the Nelsons of the world, bullied all the Princes of the world. I'm sure of it. It reminds me of like Nelson from The Simpsons. And I guess maybe he got made fun of, but either way, he didn't like the name Prince. He wanted to change it to another nickname like Skipper instead. He was a fan of Skipper over Prince.
All right, well, that's worse.
It is objectively pretty much worse.
But again, how old was he? Because, like, Skipper is a pretty cool name if you're, like, 9.
I bet he was 9-ish, yeah.
Like, imagine being, like, 9 years old and be like, yo, friends, call me Skipper.
My name is Skipper now. That would be pretty cool.
The problem is you can't pick your own nickname. I think that was his problem, right? He wanted to go by Skipper, but you can't pick your own nickname.
No.
It never works.
Never does. Take it from the people's champion. That never sticks.
I was bequeathed that title.
Uh-huh. Well, either way. Prince, Skipper, whatever you want to call him.
Prince Skipper's pretty good.
Oh, it is. That's not bad. Well, with such encouraging and musical parents, Skipper Prince Skipper, he was writing songs by the time he was 10. His first song was called Funk Machine, but his parents divorced right around that time, and so he spent time going back and forth from house to house, living with his brother, kind of just living a life in flux before he landed in his neighbor's basement, where he met his friend and future collaborator, Andre Simone. They would go on to do a lot of work together. Prince played a lot of sports in high school. In fact, he covered all 3 seasons. He played football, basketball, and baseball, and still found time to become classically trained in ballet, which is a very unique fact and probably a first for us. I mean, we've had dancers before.
It was disappointing that you had that on there.
Yeah, well, you'll have to send my condolences to the Mixtaper.
Send them yourself.
I can save them for later, sure, and deliver them in person. In 1975, Prince had a unique musical opportunity. He had the chance to record guitar tracks for his cousin's husband's band, 94 East. He was able to co-write some songs and get into the studio for the first time and actually do genuine recording work. He made a demo of his own while he was in there, and pretty quickly it caught the attention of a few major record labels like A&M and Columbia, and his future home, Warner Brothers. In 1976, Warner signed him to a 3-record deal where he actually, really pulled off a fast one and retained his publishing and had full creative control, which is unreal. That's pretty good. That's a great deal, is what I'm saying. And he moved across the country all the way over to California to get recording. And he actually did a lot of early work at the Los Angeles record plant, a studio we've talked about many a time.
Indeed.
It's where they plant the records. Prince's own debut album, called For You, came out in 1978, and he wrote, recorded, arranged, and produced everything on that album except the lyrics for like one single track. He was a machine. And that's another reason Prince just has this air about him, is like he's just a one-man show. He's a one-man music machine. I don't know. It's remarkable. And yet, even though he did everything himself, the For You album still cost twice as much money as he had.
Wow.
I know. But it was money very well spent because For You sent 2 singles onto the charts, which was great for a debut album. His second self-titled record, Prince, came out 1 year later, and it went to number 22 on the Billboard 200. It had 2 singles that both went platinum, Why You Want to Treat Me So Bad and I Want to Be Your Lover. By 1981, Prince would put out his next 2 records, Dirty Mind and Controversy, and he was building an audience for himself, opening for bands like the Rolling Stones, but like, it wasn't all roses. It took him a while to find his crowd. Sometimes people did boo and like throw trash at him while he was on stage.
Crazy.
Which is crazy. Yeah, don't do that to people. If you're at a concert, don't throw trash at the people you're watching perform.
Unless they ask you to.
Well, I guess in that specific scenario, that might be okay.
Unless it's a trick.
Oh, if they're trying to trick you into throwing trash at them so they can get mad?
Then still don't.
Yeah. You read the room. That's all. Just be careful and read the room. I'm pretty sure Prince did not ask people to throw trash at him. But what he did do is ask people to party like it was 1999. And so they did. Prince created a massive double album with his band The Revolution, and it was called, of course, 1999. Features hits like Little Red Corvette and International Lover. Turns out there were a lot of international lovers of 1999 as well. It ended up breaking into the top 10 internationally, which is really cool. It's also around this time Prince decided to kick off a side project called The Time, who would put out 4 records over the next decade. And Prince started to gain traction on MTV as well. They started to spin his music more. And in fact, Prince was one of the first 2 black artists to be very heavily featured on the channel, alongside his rival, Michael Jackson, and the song Billie Jean. MTV, man. What are you going to do?
Throw trash at them.
No, you're not supposed to do that.
Well, unless they tell you to.
Well, it's MTV, not an artist on stage. I guess we didn't address that specific situation.
MTV told me to throw trash at them.
Honestly, well, you do you.
But maybe it's a trap.
We can never be too sure. So he parties like it's 1999.
Party like it's 1999.
Then in 1984, Prince decides he wants to do something different, wants to take a new direction. He says, I want to be in a movie. I want to break into motion picture. So he has his management set up a film deal for a, quote, loosely autobiographical movie called Purple Rain, in which Prince would star. And then he would also provide the companion soundtrack. And that is where we will find ourselves today. I think it's very rare that we talk much about a movie soundtrack companion album. Have we done one yet?
No. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
An album that is just a movie sound. I want to do a movie soundtrack at some point. I think that'd be a fun one-off special episode to do.
Well, we're doing it right now. Purple Rain is a movie soundtrack album.
And or it'd be fun to do like a little mini series where we like take movies that we watch and then discuss their soundtracks and how those soundtracks affected the movies.
That's true. But yeah, I think it is the first time in 190 episodes. That's pretty wild. So first, let's talk about Purple Rain, the film. They shot basically the entire movie in Minneapolis and included a ton of local landmarks. With a $7.2 million budget, they were even able to get major venues and nightclubs in the town to close for up to a week so that they could get good shots and do all the filming they needed. It was directed by Prince's future manager, Albert Magnoli, and it features a couple sequences of Prince and the Revolution. They play songs, they do, shows and stuff like that. It tells the story of a scrappy young frontman trying to work his way to the top of the music industry and win over the local club scene. And, it's basically the loosely autobiographical story of Prince. Prince's character was called The Kid. Is it good? Did you like the movie? I don't know how long ago you watched it.
Boy, I was probably in high school.
Wow, so like 18, 20, 30 years?
I hate you.
Just trying to keep the audience guessing. So you don't remember whether it was good?
I remember it being weird.
Weird sounds like it would match my expectations for the movie, but not weird in a bad way.
No.
Weird in the same way that Prince is related to like David Bowie. Weird this is an art music movie made by an artist.
Yeah.
That's my expectation for the movie. Well, whatever we think of it now, it ended up being a smash hit. It earned 10 times its budget at the box office, which is $70 million for all you keeping track. And it won an Oscar for Best Original Song Score. Recently, in 2019, the Library of Congress selected Purple Rain for preservation in their National Film Registry.
Nice.
So take that for what it's worth as far as the film's cultural relevance. And of course, alongside the movie, in conjunction with it, came the soundtrack album. It features 9 songs that are used in the movie. It's got a very full sound, right? One of Prince's goals was to really expand the range of his music sonically. It includes synths and guitars and keyboards and layering, like backwards vocals and talk boxes, and just it's so like a sonic roller coaster through 1984. And as a film soundtrack, it hits a little differently than just a normal album in terms of the way it's produced. I mean, these songs are meant to be seen on a screen in the context of a larger narrative in a lot of cases. So that's cool. It's also just about the poppiest that Prince ever got, which is interesting and kind of cool. Contemporary critics loved Purple Rain. Its current Metacritic score is a perfect 100 out of 100.
Wow.
I know. In the last 4 years of research for this podcast, I'm really not sure if I've seen any 100s. At least not very many at all. It's pretty rare. Rolling Stone said, "The spirit of Jimi Hendrix must surely smile down on Prince Rogers Nelson. Like Hendrix, Prince seems to have tapped into some extraterrestrial musical dimension where black and white styles are merely different aspects of the same funky thing. Prince's rock and roll is as authentic and compelling as his soul, and his extremism is endearing in an era of play-it-safe record production and formulaic hit-mongering." That's cool. People like his tone and his style, his messaging, and his experimentation. It was yet again a hit. Purple Rain, the album, debuted on the Billboard 200 at number 11, and it climbed to number 1 after just 4 weeks, where it would stay for 24 consecutive weeks. In total, Purple Rain spent more than 32 weeks in the top 10, making it one of the most commercially successful soundtrack albums ever. It ended its run on the charts after a massive 122-week run. That's a soundtrack album. That's a movie soundtrack on the Billboard 200 for more than 2 years. 2.5, really. Purple Rain also put Prince in very elite company.
Yeah.
He became only the 3rd artist in history, alongside Elvis and the Beatles, to have the number 1 album, the number 1 single, and the number 1 film in the United States at the same time, which is so cool. What a hard thing to do. The record also charted very well in 14 other countries, from Australia to Zimbabwe. The record won Grammys for Best Rock Vocal Performance and Best Score Soundtrack for Visual Media, and Purple Rain was nominated for Album of the Year.
Wow.
Yeah. Today, it is certified 13 times platinum for moving more than 13 million copies in the US. Worldwide, Purple Rain is up over 25 million copies. It's pretty much gone down as one of the best albums of the 80s, and, I mean, for that matter, one of the best of all time. Rolling Stone has put it as high as number 8 on their list of the 500 all-time greatest albums. So it's a top 10 record for Rolling Stone. Remarkable. But boy, did Purple Rain also stir up some trouble. We've talked about this a few times on our Twisted Sister and John Denver episodes, but Prince was really the catalyst for a lot of controversy in the music world and the political world, for that matter. Tipper Gore, wife of then future Vice President Al Gore, she heard her 11-year-old daughter listening to Darling Nikki from this album, and she was not happy with this song and its explicit content. I mean, in the first 3 or 4 seconds of the song, we established that she's like a sex fiend. Not really a song for your 11-year-old. So it led Tipper Gore to found the Parents Music Resource Center. She took Prince and other bands to Congress to advocate for the use of parental advisory stickers on music. I mean, probably I think she advocated for more than that, like the hardcore cracking down on this kind of content in music. But I feel like the parental advisory sticker was a compromise.
Yeah.
Now they're everywhere, right? Now the parental music stickers are on everything. And in a certain sense, you have Prince to thank for all of that. We'll talk a little more specifically about it when we get to Darling Nikki in the track order, about the Filthy 15 and what goes on, but incredible. I mean, what a neat, unique chunk of history behind Purple Rain.
It is. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Another one the Mixtaper was sad you knew about.
Well, we already talked about it on the podcast. He can't be too pressed about that one.
About the sticker thing?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with Twisted Sister and John Denver.
Oh, he doesn't remember that.
Well, he'll have to listen to the Twisted Sister episode when he's done clubbing and refresh his memory. Prince's next album, Around the World in a Day, ironically saw him swear off touring for a little while, but it produced that other classic big Prince hit, Raspberry Beret. Prince kept churning out albums throughout the mid-'80s, movies too. He was a very prolific songwriter. By the close of the decade, he would release his 11th studio album. He would do duets with artists like Madonna, and he worked with Tim Burton on the music for Batman. Did you know that?
Yeah, told you. Like, he has a weird crossover with pop culture.
He does. Yeah, I think that makes Prince our second, not artist, but like second songwriter at least, who has been deeply involved with Batman. Because we talked about how Count Basie wrote that album with Neil Hefti, and Neil Hefti did the Adam West Batman. Na Batman. That was Neil Hefti, and then Prince did the more dramatic Tim Burton-y 80s Batman.
I wouldn't necessarily call that more dramatic, although
more dramatic than Adam West.
Yeah, I mean, still, the 80s Batmans are still considered pretty comical compared to, like,
the dark ones now.
Nolan Batmans or whoever the heck did.
The Robert Pattinson one?
The Robert Pattinson one, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's all relative. To this point, I mean, in the late 80s, the Tim Burton Batman was the darkest one yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
In the early 90s, Prince signed on for a 6-album, $100 million deal with Warner Brothers, which, I mean, that's huge. That's an enormous deal.
I make that in a weekend.
$100 million in a weekend? Boy, I wish I had your job. It was around this time in 1992, Prince first started to use the love symbol. Now, you've probably seen the love symbol if you're any kind of a fan of Prince. It looks like, you know, the male and female symbols, but kind of combined a little bit. Prince loved it, and it was partially out of spite that Warner wasn't releasing his back catalog fast enough for him, right? He had all this music in the vault. They wouldn't put it out, and he was upset about it. So Prince decided to change his stage name to the love symbol, just that shape. And since you can't say a shape, people started calling him the artist formerly known as Prince, sometimes shortened simply to the artist. What do you think about that phase of his career, like just naming yourself a shape?
It's so weird.
It's a very like highbrow artist kind of move, right?
Yeah. And I mean, he's not the only artist to change his name. I mean,
no, Snoop Dogg went to Snoop Lion, but that's a word.
That's fair.
He might be the only artist to change his name to a shape. If you named yourself after a shape, what would you be?
Rhombus.
Rhombus. I love that. You could be the artist known as Rhombus. That's actually a really good one.
Thank you. Came to me instantly. As soon as you asked the question, I was just like, Rhombus.
That's good.
What would you go with?
I don't know. I tried to think of something like specific, like an isosceles triangle, something. Dodecahedron, but that's like a 3D shape.
We live in a 3D world.
That's true. Maybe I'd like co-opt rhombus a little bit and just go with another parallelogram, like a trapezoid.
Ooh, yeah. If you go with like trapezoid and I go with rhombus, then our super group could be like the parallelograms.
Oh, I love that. Don't be a square. Listen to the parallelograms. Life is a rectangular prism. Yeah. No, Prince decides to go with the love symbol, and he sticks with that for the next 8 years. For the better part of a decade, people call him Love Symbol, the artist formerly known as Prince. That happened until early 2000, once his contract with Warner had expired. And of course, even after he changed his name back to Prince, that logo was permanently, inextricably intertwined with his name and his brand for the rest of time. Other Prince moments of note from later on in his career: his Super Bowl performance in 2007. Oh my gosh. It is very widely regarded as the best Super Bowl performance ever.
Yeah.
And I think that, holds up.
Nothing in the last 5 to 10 years is Prince level good.
No, and his was so simple.
Yeah.
Like just an icon.
And then you got like, the 2000s, Super Bowl knew what it was doing with its halftime show. There's so many from those 2000s or late 90s that people still talk about when you bring up halftime performances.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but it wasn't full of like the showmanship and production effects like you see today. It was pretty much...
But you didn't need it.
No, you didn't. It was Prince, an icon in his own right, on a love symbol shaped stage with a love symbol shaped guitar. He performed for his biggest ever audience, an estimated 140 million viewers at that Super Bowl halftime show. It's excellent. And he played Purple Rain as his big closing song. And as he plays Purple Rain, it starts to pour down rain. It is, movie perfect.
Yeah.
You couldn't write a more incredible halftime show if you scripted it. That's wild. As recently as 2015, Billboard ranked it the greatest Super Bowl halftime show of all time. The Super Bowl happened recently to when we're recording this episode now, and I've been looking at rankings of all the Super Bowl halftime shows again. Prince still tops like every list.
Yeah.
Flash forward, though, almost a decade. to April of 2016. Prince heads to a doctor. He and his team put out statements that say he's dehydrated. You know, he has the flu, just a little under the weather. But, well, on a flight the next day, Prince became unresponsive and he was rushed to a hospital and received drugs to counteract opioid overdoses. He tried to check into a rehab later in the month, but the day that he was supposed to do a preliminary exam, April 21st, 2016, Prince was found dead in his Minnesota home at age 57. Again, like so young. He had so much career left ahead of him. The final prognosis was an accidental overdose of fentanyl that was in counterfeit pain medication that he was taking. And Prince was in fact addicted to opioids.
Yeah.
So he was cremated, and because of the sudden nature of his death, he didn't leave behind a will, which, I mean, is kind of wild. Once you pass a certain net worth, like, make a will. I don't know. But in the weeks following his death, more than 700 people claimed to be Prince's siblings or descendants or distant relatives.
Which is just insane. Hey, people, don't do that.
Yeah, right. Unless you actually are a sibling or distant relative. But if you're not, and you know you're not,
Yeah.
don't claim to be.
Yeah. You know, you can quote me on this. That's worse than throwing trash at someone on stage.
Trying to mooch your way into their family to get a piece of this giant will? Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. You can quote me on that.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone would ask you to do that for them. So you should probably just never do it.
Be a wild request. When I die, try to get into my will.
Pretend to be my descendant. Yeah, that's great. Tell him you're my stepbrother. No, okay, man, what a mess. But Prince, I mean, aside from not leaving behind a will, what he did leave behind was an enormous body of work. While he was alive, right, during his 57-year lifetime, he put out 39 studio albums and 117 singles. That's a ton already. That's almost 40 albums of work in 5.5 decades of life.
That's crazy.
I know. But, and again, this is just one of the most fascinating things about Prince and his legacy. The common belief is that he's got an enormous vault of songs and music and content that contains several unreleased albums, more than 50 complete music videos, film projects, live recordings. One estimate done by 60 Minutes postulates that there could be as many as 8,000 Prince songs that are finished and done, but have never seen the light of day. 8,000 songs. That's wild. And you know, maybe someday some of them will come out, but that process is certainly not made less complicated by the unclear line of succession after his death.
Yeah.
Who knows who rightfully has control of those tapes and those masters, and who knows what there even is. It's fascinating. It's like music mythos on the same level as the Wu-Tang Clan album that there's only one of, for me. Like, the Prince's Vault is like my Roman Empire. What could be in it? What if it's great? What if it's incredible? I don't know.
What if it's garbage?
Then don't throw it at people.
Especially on the stage.
Yeah. Well, as for his awards and accolades over the course of his unfortunately abbreviated life, Prince cleaned up. He's earned 32 major awards on 163 nominations, and obviously has created quite a legacy on best of lists and favorites and polls. And, you know, of course, we already talked about his Academy Award. He's earned 6 awards and honors from the American Music Awards. Prince has earned 11 ASCAP Awards for Most Performed Songs and 2 other ASCAP Awards for his soundtrack work. He's got a Billboard Music Award, a BET Award, and a BET Lifetime Achievement Award, several Brit Awards, a Golden Globe. Prince has 7 Grammy Awards and 3 records in the Grammy Hall of Fame. He's also in the R&B Music Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he has an honorary degree from the University of Minnesota. So that's cool. I guess we could have talked about him on Gopher Day as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my stuff about Prince. Time to get the Mixtaper on out here. A man who surely has an affinity for rain that is purple.
Why would he have an affinity for that?
I just think purple is his favorite color, and rain is probably his favorite weather, but I guess I don't know. He did study clouds, so he's big into the water cycle.
I guess there's only one way to find out. Let's get him out here.
Let's get him out here and play some Fact or Spin, where I hear truths and lies about Prince and have to figure him out.
Hey, it's me. The artist formerly known as the Mixtaper.
Oh no, what should we call you today? Dastard Symbol?
Yeah, I've invented a new symbol. The Dastard symbol.
I don't really want or need to know what that looks like. We'll just call you the Dastard formerly known as the Mixtaper.
You can just call me Mixtaper for short.
Oh, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. I think that's a great plan. Mixtaper, I have to apologize to you for some of the things that I know, like that Prince was a ballerina.
I mean, you don't have to, but I appreciate that you are.
Yeah.
Got some interesting facts and maybe some interesting spins.
Oh, I'm so sure of that. I'm a little afraid. Yeah, before the podcast recording even started today, I heard you talking to Connor about how excited you were and how fun it was to find facts and how you wouldn't even be able to narrow them all down. Like, I'm worried that the Prince Factor Spin Vault is going to have 8,000 facts and spins that you don't use, much like Prince Music Vault.
It's close.
Oh my gosh.
It's close.
Well, let's pull out the best of them and then wonder about the rest of them.
They're all so kind of weird or interesting that I'm going to let you pick the order, 1 through 4.
Well, okay. That's good. I don't know what any of them could be.
Yeah, you know what? It's been a minute. I'll give you some hints, and then you can tell me what you're interested in hearing about.
Okay.
Star Wars,
Ooh.
toilets, spaghetti, or McDonald's.
Man, what a mess. Okay, well, let's go to McDonald's first, and then we can go to the toilet.
All right. Good order.
Thank you.
Let's start with McDonald's. He likes to smell their food.
He likes to smell McDonald's food?
Yeah.
Does he like to eat McDonald's food?
Not so much.
Oh, well, what food specifically does he like to smell? I mean, is he a filet of fish sniffer, a chicken McNugget sniffer, quarter pounder sniffer?
It's a comfort smell for him and a reminder of where he's been.
Has he been to McDonald's?
Yeah, many a time when he was young and poor.
Mm-hmm.
So poor that he didn't have enough money to buy food. And so when he'd get hungry, he would just go to McDonald's and stand outside and smell.
Just go and sniff?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Because he couldn't afford to eat.
From humble beginnings.
Yeah.
So it's a nostalgic smell, a comfort smell. Does he do this into his adulthood? Once he becomes like Prince, the superstar.
Yeah, once he could like buy McDonald's.
Well, I'm sure he could just buy it and sniff it as much as he wanted, but like...
Well, I just meant like literally like buy McDonald's.
Oh, like purchase a franchise by the company McDonald's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get to that level, I think you stop eating things like McDonald's.
Unless it's a comfort food.
Yeah, and maybe comfort's the wrong word, but more of just a reminder of how bitter poverty can make you. And how angry at the world you can become when you're poor.
See, I'm imagining me as a humble McDonald's franchisee in roughly 2005. I'm just here working at my McDonald's in Minneapolis. In walks flipping Prince, and he just takes a deep sniff. He goes, yeah, that's the stuff. And then he like leaves. That's what this is in my head, and that's wild.
Oh, gosh. I mean, you could be accurate for all I know, but probably not.
Probably not. I do think this is a fact, though. McDonald's has a very distinctive smell. Smell is a very nostalgic sense. Your olfactory memory is very strong. And whether he goes to McDonald's to sniff it out or not, I do think he would find comfort in the nostalgia of the smell whenever he did smell it, whether it was intentional or not. So I think I'm going to say this is a fact.
Locking in that Prince is a golden arch sniffer.
Yeah. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
This is a fact.
Oh, good. It's a fact.
It's a fact.
Yeah. McPrince.
The artist formerly known as McPrince.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm McLove symbol in it.
Yeah, this is a true fact. A very niche and interesting fact that I found.
Yeah.
But true.
Yeah, the second time, I think, in 190 episodes, you've given us great personal insight into what an artist likes to smell. Always a really curious thing to know about someone.
What was the second one?
Oh, the other one was way worse. It was that Florence and the Machine likes to smell sweat and armpits. You said she liked the smell of a boy's locker room.
Oh, that's
because
right.
she wanted to be like a little animal.
Yeah, that's right. That was relatively recent, too, in the grand scheme of episodes.
60 back, yeah. Yeah, but I'll never forget that one. Every time I listen to her music, I'm like, she smells armpits.
What would you like to go to next? You said you want to go to toilets?
Yeah, we went to McDonald's. Let's go to the bathroom. Although it sounds like he didn't eat McDonald's. He just sniffed it a lot. I hope this fact is taking a very different direction.
Yeah, well, his music videos are bad for toilets.
Prince's music videos are bad for toilets?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen a lot of Prince music videos.
Sure.
Are there music videos where toilets get destroyed, or is this about like the food that he catered in on set? Like, what's the vibe of this fact?
It has to do with people having a bad time on the toilet that were part of the music video.
Oh, that's true. That's really so. Prince invites people to do music videos with him and what? Feeds them bad food?
No, it's more his music videos, especially ones like Little Red Corvette, use a lot of smoke.
Oh, yeah.
And the mineral oil that was used to create the smoke for the videos gave everybody on set diarrhea.
Prince smoked people into diarrhea.
Yeah.
That's awful. Smoke machines always do have this kind of like smell to them. That smoke's made of something. And I really...
Made of diarrhea smoke.
Yeah, I really do believe it's, hey, how you turn a gas into a liquid. I really do believe that breathing in too much of that could really get you sick in your stomach.
But is it true?
How
about Prince?
So you mentioned Little Red Corvette specifically.
Yep.
Is that the only time that this is happening? Do they clue in that, oh, this is the smoke that's making us sick?
Also in 1999.
Well, you'd think they'd have learned in the intermittent period. How many people does this affect?
Most of the people on set.
Oh my gosh. Prince included?
I assume.
I mean, that would make sense. He was probably the most on set.
Him probably the most surrounded by the smoke.
Yeah, awful. Man, I think I'm going to have to call this one also a fact. I think I'm going to have to flag this one as true as well. It sounds awful. It sounds like such an unfortunate circumstance, but it sounds really believable.
It's really believable, and it's really a true fact.
Gross. This is what it smells like when butts cry.
This is a little anecdote from producer Sharon Orrick.
Diarrhea everywhere. Now, do you know what the bathroom situation was like? I mean, are they all out in a trailer? You know, is there more than one toilet available?
Yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of his movies and videos were formed on his own property, so
probably not.
Yeah, but I don't know if they all were, especially at that point in his career. I don't know. I just know he did a lot of stuff from his home, a lot of his passion projects. I don't know if that extends to his more commercial stuff or not.
It might. Well, those are two wild facts. I say we go to Star Wars next.
Going to Star Wars next.
A galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, it's so far away that we're going to have to stop and get some spaghetti first. We're going to save that one for last, actually.
Oh, okay. The illusion of choice. I've run into a paradox.
Well, really, I just didn't want to end on spaghetti. Any other order, you were free to choose. But ending on spaghetti, I don't think is the move.
I see.
His favorite meal was spaghetti and orange juice.
Sounds like his music videos weren't the only thing bad for toilets. Spaghetti and orange juice?
Yep.
Blah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm approaching this with inherent bias. I'll confess it right off the rip.
Okay, yeah, well, you hate oranges.
I don't like orange flavors. I don't like oranges. I don't like orange juice. Anything with orange juice sounds bad. And I don't drink it, so I can't really conceptualize this combination of flavors much at all.
Yeah, but you understand, you've had an orange, like you've at some point tasted orange, right? Because that's how you know you don't like it.
I have slightly, and the smell of it, that moves me deeply also.
And you know, like, the concept of, like, lemonade and how it's kind of tart and
it's acidic and tang and...
Yeah, that tangy acidicness is there in orange juice as well, right?
Yep.
Paired with a nice plate of spaghetti, red sauce, and maybe some meatballs. I don't know. Can't confirm the meatballs. Just what an interesting flavor combination.
Yeah, I'm mulling it over in my brain. Tomatoes and oranges together at last.
Very acidic meal.
Yeah, and like sugary too.
Both fruits though.
Fruits. Yeah, that's true. How does one discover this? This isn't two things that go together much.
Prince felt they did.
Yeah, but like, was there a time that he tried this and was like, oh, I actually love this? Or was he like, I like orange juice, I like spaghetti?
There had to have been a time that he tried it and was like, oh, I love this, if it became his favorite meal.
I know, but did he like do it from childhood? Or have spaghetti for breakfast one day? I don't know.
No, my understanding is this started during his Purple Rain era. This was something he discovered during his Purple Rain era.
Yeah, this is one on the contrary. I think this one might be a spin.
Ooh, thinks this is a spin.
Spaghetti and orange juice is just a little gnarly. Now, could it be Prince's favorite food? I mean, I guess sure it could, but I just don't know about it.
This is a true fact.
Oh, really? Yuck. Ew. Don't try this at home. I mean, you can, and it won't be harmful to you. Just this is my personal advice to you. Don't try this at home.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound like it goes together. And I like orange juice, so like separately, fine. Just together, no thanks.
Yeah, no. And again, totally biased. I can't think of anything that I would enjoy with orange juice. But if I could, it's definitely not spaghetti.
Maybe Star Wars and orange juice.
Yeah, I doubt it. Still, also no. But we do get to move to a galaxy far, far away at long last.
We finally arrived. We got there at the galaxy far, far away.
You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Then at George Lucas's wedding, where Prince performed.
Prince performed at George Lucas's wedding. George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, that's what I'm telling you. I mean, you gotta decide.
Sure. I can only imagine what the George Lucas wedding was like. I mean, just having barely scratched the surface of what happens inside this man's mind through my consumption of Star Wars content. Oh boy. I bet it was a wild wedding. Does he what's the vibe of the wedding? Is it serious?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. What's the budget of the wedding? Where and when?
I mean, to get Prince, gotta be pretty big.
Well, yeah.
It was Prince along with a 20-piece band.
Oh my gosh.
Who provided music for the reception.
They just went up there and went dun 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 dun. They had Prince singing that "Ooh Ooh Get You Ga," right? That song from the sixth one.
Yeah, but yeah, he provided music for the reception at his 2013 wedding.
2013. I did not realize George Lucas got married so late.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was his first marriage, but he was married in 2013.
Yeah,
to his wife Melody Hobson.
He got married to his wife. I would have guessed he got married to his fiance. Seems like you doubled up. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say double it up, kind of like Hank Williams. Although I guess he never was married. He tried twice.
He tried 3 times.
He tried 3 times. You're right.
Yeah. So why Prince? George Lucas is a big Prince fan?
Yeah, I guess.
Who else is invited to this wedding? Is it a celebrity wedding or a more family affair?
Yeah, they kind of just reached out to him because his wife loved Prince's music so much that when they were playing the wedding, they were just kind of like, George was like, well, let's reach out to him and see if he's willing to play. And he was like, absolutely, yes.
Do we know what he played for? Like, how much?
No, I don't know how much. But she said that it was a relatively small wedding, but Prince with his 22-piece band and 40 guitars played like it was everything.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Prince does not seem like the kind to put half of himself into anything.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to say the Star Wars wedding is a fact also. I'll say Prince was there, charming the happy couple. Nice to see that George Lucas got married, even though attachments are forbidden for the Jedi.
I can confirm that the Force is with the Purple One. This is a true fact.
I didn't know what that meant. The Force is with the Purple One? Because, I mean...
The Purple One was a nickname of his.
Yeah, okay, but it also could be a nickname of yours. And so I was like, did I get that right by calling it a fact? Like, did you get that right? And the Force was with you by it being a spin. But it's true. Prince was at the Lucas wedding.
It's true.
That's amazing.
Which means we had an all-fact week.
I suspected we might. It's been a minute.
Yeah, well, Prince is one of those artists that you just keep finding gold.
Finding purple. Purple gold.
Purple gold.
Oil, that is. So, what are some of the facts that you left on the table?
Yeah, let's take a moment.
I mean, if you don't want to save any of them for later.
No, I don't really, because I feel like most of them, I don't think we'll be back to Prince, at least anytime soon, and there's plenty still to find, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just mean for other artists, they could be interesting spins, maybe.
Yeah, they could be spins. Yeah, I might hold a couple back, but for the most part.
A lot of them are probably very Prince-specific.
Yeah, some other fun things. I really dived into his filmography.
Oh, I bet. Which I avoided to give you some room to move.
Yeah, but I decided not to use any of it. He, as you know, was an actor in Purple Rain.
What?
He was an actor in the sequel, Graffiti Bridge.
Oh, yeah, Connor mentioned that one.
Yeah. He was an actor in a comedy drama called Under the Cherry Moon.
Is where I drew some blood. Yeah, just reminded me of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Carry on.
He was also in a movie called Sign of the Times as himself, and 3 Chains of Gold as himself, which were like music documentaries.
Uh-huh.
And he appeared in the 1997 episode 11 of Muppets Tonight as himself.
The Muppets. I had a feeling Prince would get mixed up with Muppets.
Yeah. And in 2014, this is the really interesting one that I almost brought. He was in an episode as himself in the show New Girl.
Oh, that's wild.
And not only was he in it as himself, but he reached out to the people in charge of New Girl to ask to be on the show because he enjoyed it so much.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
What power must you hold to be able to call your favorite television series and say, I like this,
Put me on.
I want to be on it, and then to go, oh, yes, can you just be yourself? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that was fascinating.
I've seen one episode of New Girl, the pilot. It gave me a headache.
He has an entire album that was never released as his feminine alter ego, Camille.
Oh, man, that's got to be in the vault. That's wild. Again, very David Bowie.
Prince fans first heard Camille, I don't know how it's pronounced, on his 1987 track, If I Was Your Girlfriend, where he achieves the sound effect of a woman singing by using his natural tone, slowing down the tape, then speeding it back up as it was played back.
Oh, yeah, that's classic.
And so then he did an entire album as that alter ego, but never released it. He originally asked Stevie Nicks to write the lyrics to Purple Rain.
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Yeah, I thought that might be one you already knew. He owns, so for Purple Rain, the classic motorcycle from the movie and on the cover of this album, there was 3 of them made for the movie. Only one of them still exists, and Prince has it.
Had it.
Well, it's still supposedly at his Paisley mansion.
That's cool.
But it is no longer purple, apparently, according to some articles I found.
No, they Janis Joplin card it?
Well, it was painted black for the movie Graffiti Bridge. It appears in both movies, but they painted it black for Graffiti Bridge. And so it is still in its black form, according to some articles I found.
Okay, well, that's not the worst. I mean, at least it's still authentic and true to its use, even though it's maybe not its most iconic appearance.
Yep. I almost brought, you list all of his awards, but you missed his 8 Razzie Award nominations.
What's a Razzie Award?
A Razzie Award. I'm glad you asked. I feel like we've talked about it on the podcast.
We certainly have, and I feel like I even saw it when I was looking this up, but I forget.
The Golden Raspberry Awards, also known as the Razzies, is a parody award show that honors the worst of cinematic failures.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do remember seeing this.
He got nominated 4 times for Graffiti Bridge in the categories for Worst Picture, Worst Actor, Worst Director, and Worst Screenplay, but did not win any of them. That was in 1991. And then he was nominated for 4 more for Under the Cherry Moon, of which he won 3 of them for Worst Picture, Worst Actor, Worst Supporting Actor.
Love to see it.
It was also nominated for Worst Supporting Actress, but that one did not win.
Tragic. That's a heck of a run of unused facts. What a vault on Prince.
Indeed. And that's not even all of it.
No, I'm sure. But the rest will have to wait.
Well, I'm off to figure out how to make it rain purple.
Best of luck. It doesn't sound like it'll be a very easy task.
Yeah, but I took clouds in college, so I got a leg up.
You know what? Fair enough. I think that is good prior experience for you. Very relevant to the Purple Rain situation.
Until it rains. Yeah!
There he goes. Goodbye, Mixtaper. Happy trails. Until next week. Welcome back to Connor.
His music was also in Happy Feet, wasn't it?
Happy Feet.
Am I misremembering that?
I haven't seen Happy Feet in ages.
Something I was thinking about while you were playing Factor Spin. I thought Prince's music was in that movie. I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Song of the Heart. The very first song on the soundtrack is by Prince.
There you go. See?
The soundtrack also features Pink, The Beach Boys, Robin Williams, Brittany Murphy, Jason Mraz, Nicole Kidman, Paul McCartney, and John Lennon. Their song, not their voices. That's interesting. Well, yeah, let's talk about this album cover. I mean, the Mixtaper already started to talk about the motorcycle, which is apparently now lost to time or stuck in Prince's mansion and painted a different color. Supposedly, allegedly. What an iconic shot of Prince sitting on the motorcycle. It is a promo shot for the album and the movie, and it's shot on the back lot at the Warner Brothers studio in California. It's a section of the lot meant to resemble New York City called Hennessy Street. I learned a little bit about Hennessy Street because I just felt like going down the rabbit hole a little bit. It was created for the 1984 movie Annie, so Prince was there when it was fresh. You may also recognize the set from Friends, Sex and the City, Spider-Man, Rent, and 3 Batman films. You can apparently book corporate events there, and the website and phone number for the Warner Brothers studio backlot is surprisingly accessible. I was a little shocked. I didn't call. I didn't inquire about how much it would cost to book the...
No, that's actually, it's a big, it's a very popular and famous backlot.
It is.
There are several, like all the major studios have their own backlots, right? Mm-hmm. And they're usually constantly changing, as different movies rent out different spaces and different shows rent out different spaces. Yeah, things are constantly changing. Movies and TV shows will scout certain backlots and go, oh, this backlot's already kind of set up in the style I need. Can we have it when whoever's using it's done with it? That kind of stuff. But then you get your famous ones like Hennessy that just become permanent fixtures, and you can like even tour and stuff as tourists when they're not being used actively for filming. Yeah,
no, it's definitely famous, and it cannot be cheap. Cannot be even close to cheap to book.
Yeah. But the album cover.
What an album cover.
You think that smoke caused any diarrhea issues?
Think he's holding it in right there? Now I do.
Now I understand the face.
Yeah, it looks like a dramatic smolder, but really it's, oh man, take the picture, hurry up. What a cool motorcycle.
So about to ask the lady standing at the top of the stairs if he can use her bathroom.
Maybe he just did and she said no, he's trying to get away.
And now he's like,
where else? I think it's a great album cover. I like the font he's chosen for Purple Rain, Prince of the Revolution. It matches the energy of the album well.
The R annoys me, the capital R.
How it looks like a P?
Yeah.
Purple Pain. Prince in the Pevolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's reasonable. But it's 1984. You can get away with anything.
Yeah.
I'm sure it represents the movie very well. Definitely think it's a good look for the album. The flowers behind it are interesting, too. It's really practically almost like a vertical cover. Almost the same thing we saw on, like, Tom Petty with his vertical-looking cover, so it could fit on cassettes and movie posters.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into it. There are 9 tracks on Purple Rain. 6 are full band tracks with The Revolution, but 3 of them, the beautiful ones, Darling Nikki and When Doves Cry, were basically just Prince alone by himself on the track, which is wild. Like, think about that when you listen to When Doves Cry. That is just 6 minutes of one man. It's very impressive. But before we get there, we gotta go crazy. Let's Go Crazy is the opening track in the movie and on the album. Popular live hit with Prince. There's even an extended dance mix of Let's Go Crazy that had to get cut down for the record, for time's sake. But it features a solo and spoken word samples and more guitar riffs in an extended instrumental. But right now, as it stands, the album track is 4.5 minutes, and he truly does go crazy. It was Prince's second #1 hit on the Billboard charts, and it topped the Hot R&B and Hip Hop Songs and the Hot Dance Club Play charts. And it re-entered the charts upon Prince's death. Did you say you knew Let's Go Crazy beforehand, apart from the movie?
I didn't tell you which ones I knew, but yes.
Oh, you did just name, you said 5. I figured Let's Go Crazy would be one of the ones that was in your wheelhouse more. It's so popular.
Yep. And I've been known to go crazy from time to time.
That is true. I've heard that from many people, including yourself. Shoot, he started out a Super Bowl performance with it too. At least part of it. It starts out like a eulogy almost, right? Where Prince says, "Dearly beloved, we're gathered to get through this thing called life." And it's all about rising above temptation, living life the right way, finding a moral path to walk. And it's just an interesting dichotomy. The title is Let's Go Crazy.
Yeah.
The song is a hot dance track for the clubs. And in Prince's own words, he said, Let's Go Crazy was about God and Satan. I had to change those words up. The D elevator was Satan in that song, and Let's Go Crazy was God to me.
Oh.
Stay happy, stay focused, and you can beat the D elevator.
I see.
Yeah, so Let's Go Crazy is less of a call to, like, debauchery and more of a call to, like, rejoicing.
Fascinating.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Religion is a huge recurring theme for Prince. I mean, Prince music is, like, in this very strange overlap of the Venn diagram between, like, religion and sex in a lot of places. And it's like, who else but Prince could make this album? I don't know. It's very curious. What do you think of Let's Go Crazy as an opening track? It's high energy.
I think it's a great opening track.
I got to agree.
It's just, like you said, a high energy song that, now that you've told me the heaven and hell thing, kind of flips the message on me, which is interesting.
I know, right? Yeah, Let's Go Crazy sounds like let's cut loose and get up to some shenanigans, but yeah, it's totally the opposite. When you call up that shrink in Beverly Hills, Doctor Everything Will Be All Right, instead of asking him how much of your time is left, ask him how much of your mind.
What'd you think of Take Me With You?
Take Me With You. Oh, interesting change there. Take Me With You has this captivating opening, right? This very, like, tension building intro with the drums and this arpeggio kind of thing. Do, 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 do. Like, it stresses me out.
Yeah, the opening of this song really makes me think of, like, a movie album, right?
Yes.
That's the kind of thing you would hear in a movie.
Literally. But then once it locks in and we kind of get into the main hook and the groove of the song, I'm right there with it. That guitar comes in strumming all lively, and what a good melody. It's a duet also. Prince sings Take Me With You alongside Apollonia Cotero, the film's leading lady. Actually, Take Me With You was a late addition to the record and the movie. And it's the one that caused him to shrink down tracks like Let's Go Crazy and eventually Computer Blue. He wanted to make enough room for Take Me With You. And that was a good choice because it went to number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100. And in the UK, where it was a double A-side with Let's Go Crazy, Take Me With You hit number 7. So that's a pretty strong outing. I think on this whole album, Take Me With You is maybe the moment that feels the most analog. And maybe that's just because you can hear the acoustic guitar all throughout it, and his voice doesn't have a ton of reverb and echo on it.
Yeah.
This, like, actual string section, like, Take Me With You feels very, almost down to earth on an album that's very over the top very much of the time. And it's a nice contrast. It's a nice little grounding moment early on, but still in kind of the middle of this album. What do you think? Do you like it better, worse, the same as Let's Go Crazy? What direction are we moving?
No, I like it less, I think.
That's fair. Yeah, I think for me on this album, we almost oscillate back and forth between like, this one is better, this one is worse, this one is better, this one is not as good, this one.
Yeah, oscillating is probably pretty accurate. I really like the beginning of Take Me With You, but I don't know. You know, Let's Go Crazy was a 4-minute, 39-second track.
With a big long intro of spoken word.
With a big long, yeah, but it felt like a 2.5-minute song. Like, it flew by.
Yeah, that's true.
Take Me With You is a 3-minute, 54-second track, and it felt like a 5-minute track. It kind of stagnated in the middle.
It does feel a lot slower. Kind of hangs a lot longer. Hits differently.
Yeah. But then we got 5-minute track, The Beautiful Ones.
Oh, I do. I mean, love The Beautiful Ones. What a revelation of a song this was to hear for the first time on this album. It's another one with an eerie kind of intro. Drums, like an eventual soft synth, like until this song gets going, it definitely does feel like a movie-ish kind of lead up. But then we click into that like 1984 style sound, like feels from its time, but not like it's aged poorly because of it. He gets to use his like higher register kind of falsetto voice on a lot of the beautiful ones. And it's such a trip. Like we start with a normal melody and by the end of the song, he's just devolved into this screaming match with himself. Where he just like barks out these almost unintelligible lyrics at a fever pitch. And I think that passion and that like uninhibitedness is really what sells The Beautiful Ones for me. He does it other times on the album too, but The Beautiful Ones is the first time it really rears its head. The Beautiful Ones is one that Prince did all by himself. He recorded it on September 20th, 1983. And in the movie, Prince, as the kid, sings this song directly to his love interest from the stage. Real sweet stuff. In real life, though, he wrote it for the sister of one of his bandmates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was meant to win her over and kind of get her to leave her boyfriend.
Did it work?
No.
Oh.
She talked about it in later years. She said, I can't say the song was exactly our story, but he wrote it during that time. He wasn't always specifically writing about what he was going through because he also had to be consistent with the Purple Rain storyline, but he was drawing from things that had happened in his life. And one of those things was having a big crush on his bandmate's sister. Prince also claimed to be inspired by Canadian artist Vanity, who was his girlfriend at the time. She would go on to be a singer and a model herself. Prince actually even wrote and produced some of her music himself. So that's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, I like the melody of The Beautiful Ones. It's a really, like, sweet ballad kind of moment. There's a lot of power behind it. If I told you that I was in love with you, if we got married, would that be cool? You make me confused. The beautiful ones you'll always seem to lose. Man, but we really do. It's just from the last minute and a half-ish of this song, there's just this fever pitch, this intensity to it. I love it. Famous covers of The Beautiful Ones include Mariah Carey and Beyonce, who we have a grand total of 3 episodes on between the two of them.
Yeah.
I guess more if you count Mariah Carey and the Wham Off. Now, we follow up The Beautiful Ones with another song that, in the context of the movie, is meant to drive a wedge between his love interest and her current lover. That's Computer Blue.
Yeah.
Probably the most experimental track on this album. You know, there's just a lot of interesting sounds.
It's a weird one.
A weird one, yeah. An interesting spoken word intro that reminded me of someone...
Is the water warm enough? Yes, Lisa.
Right. Now, we'll talk about him a lot later down the road, but several times we've talked about Meatloaf as an artist. Computer Blue starts like some songs that I have listened to on Meatloaf's Bat Outta Hell. It's weird. Who's Meatloaf? Computer Blue, it's short on lyrics, it's high on funk and techno beats and like very interesting grooves. The album track has 1 verse, so it's pretty short. When he would perform the song live, he would add a second verse to Computer Blue, Some versions of Computer Blue are more than 12 minutes long. The original vision that Prince had in mind for Computer Blue was a 14-minute symphony, like a grand centerpiece for the album. And it sure did not end up like that. We got less than 4 minutes of that initial 14-minute vision. He finishes all the singing by the first minute and a half, and then we get like 2.5, 3 minutes of just breaking it down, jam.
Yeah, just really breaking it down.
What do you think about all that instrumental, all that groove, all that?
I like it. I think it goes on a little long.
Imagine if it was 4 times that length.
Yeah.
Man, actually, his dad helped Prince write some elements of Computer Blue way back in the day. He was calling it Father's Song for a while, and then he kind of blended what he wrote with his dad on Father's Song into the rest of Computer Blue. So that's cool. It's a song with some nice personal significance to him as well. I think it's a good song to jam with. I'm glad it doesn't have more lyrics than it does. It's a refreshing break from the middle of the album, and after Prince's hootin' and hollerin' on the beautiful ones, it's kind of nice to take a step back from that for a second, or 3 minutes. Up next is Darling Nikki, the song that brought you those parental advisory stickers. It was, in fact, the #1 song listed in Tipper Gore's Filthy 15, right? That's a list of 15 songs that she brought to Congress to prove her argument and say, look at this trash.
Sure.
Other Filthy 15 honorees include Twisted Sister's We're Not Gonna Take It, like we talked about on our episode about them. Black Sabbath's Trashed. AC/DC's Let Me Put My Love Into You. A song where, again, AC/DC's just not good at metaphor, right? They didn't even try.
Yeah.
They just gave up on Let Me Put My Love Into You. Tipper Gore also called out Madonna's Dress You Up, Cyndi Lauper's She Bop, Def Leppard, Motley Crue, a few others that are like, well, duh, a little bit, you know? Like, okay, I get it. Darling Nikki is right there among them. It honestly deserves its place among the Filthy 15 a little bit.
Yep.
It is a very open song. Its entendres are not doubled.
They're quadrupled.
No, they're single entendre. Yeah, the speaker, he meets a girl named Nikki. Again, a sex fiend who takes him to her castle, and he can't believe his eyes. Oh my gosh, it's the whole thing. It's all, you just listen to the song one time, and you'll be like, oh, how many times can one man say the word grind in a song?
Yeah.
It's wild. It was never a single, but Darling Nikki did peak at number 26 on the digital song sales chart and number 9 on the Hot Rock and Alternative Songs charts in the US. And one of the things that Prince tried to do with Darling Nikki was to capture this seductive energy of the main character, like in the production. They wanted to give it a live kind of feel, a high energy kind of sound. And it certainly has that. There's some heavy drums. Like, there's just a really lot of interesting production here. Prince gets back to screaming again, kind of tries to channel that raw energy through his vocals.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. Now, at the end of the song, there's some backwards vocals. Did you catch those?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's like the last 30-ish seconds of the song. If you were to play them backwards in reverse and hear them, the correct way forward, they say, hello, how are you? Fine, because I know that the Lord is coming soon. Coming soon. Interesting little...
Yeah, not something I'd ever really looked into.
No, I know, but there it is. And that's kind of a funny closing message for a song that was so bad it got parental advisory stickers added to music.
Yeah.
The Lord is coming. Like, usually it's the opposite, right? When people say, oh man, if you play this song backwards, you can hear satanic messages in it. If you play this song backwards, it's like a sermon.
Yeah.
And if you play it forwards, it's whatever the opposite of a sermon would be. It's an interesting dichotomy.
Norris. Nomris, there it is.
Yeah, it's a nomris forward and a sermon backward. That's Darling Nikki. Grind. Also, Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters covered Darling Nikki. We did a whole episode on them too, back in the 120s. And that's side 1 of the record. That's how side 1 of the record ends. What a way to end it. But then, one of the greatest side 2s of a record, maybe of all time. The B-side of Purple Rain is like the stuff of legends. It kicks off on the strongest of notes with When Doves Cry. When Doves Cry, again, Prince just did the whole thing himself. It was Prince's first ever #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100, rightfully so. It was the top-selling single for the entire year of 1984, and it was certified platinum before the end of the decade, which is interesting because When Doves Cry actually happens to be the very last single to earn platinum before they lowered the requirements. It used to be you had to get 2 million sales to have a platinum single, and in like the late 80s, they lowered it down to 1 million, and Prince When Doves Cry was the very last song to be a 2 million selling platinum certification. So that's wild. It was also on year-end charts in Canada, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Australia, and Belgium, and it re-entered the charts at number 8 when he passed away in 2016. Rolling Stone called When Doves Cry the number 37th greatest song of all time, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame included it as one of their 500 songs that helped shape rock and roll.
Yeah. Needless to say, this is one I knew.
Did you maybe know When Doves Cry? Man, what a crazy. It's just such a powerful song. I don't even think doves can cry, but that doesn't even matter. You know what? I'm going to Google it because I must know. Oh, they can. Doves can physically produce tears.
Oh, huh. Not what I would have guessed.
No, me either. I guess a study at the University of Utah discovered that. Prince was onto something. Well, for the film, right, for the movie, Prince needed a song that would pretty much embody his character's struggles with his parents as he navigates this new love affair in his life. And just like The Beautiful Ones, when he wrote it, he was inspired by his real-life muse, Vanity. It was actually the last track that Prince finished for the album as far as writing and recording go, and he made the very cool decision to do it without that hooky 80s bass line, which is what made it so distinct and unique for the time on dance radio. It stood out because it's lacking that bass dance line. And honestly, I think it's better for it. The song feels really light and, like, weightless. How could you just leave me standing alone in a world so cold? Why do we scream at each other? This is what it sounds like when doves cry. What a song.
It's so popular.
It is. Do you think it's overplayed? Overdone?
No. Normally I would probably say yes in this scenario, but it's so catchy.
Yeah, it is.
Like, maybe it is overplayed, but I just don't care.
No, it sounds so good. He even gets some, like, Michael Jackson, like, yelps in there. I mean, it's 5 minutes and 54 seconds, and it might not be long enough. It's a 6-minute song that I'm going, oh, man, it's over already? Every single time I hear it.
Yeah.
That's unreal. Now, the song ends in such a cool way. There's this big synth solo and flourish at the end.
Yep.
It's so fast. Do you realize how hard that is to play?
I could do it.
Maybe you could. Prince couldn't do it.
I can do it.
He did this whole song on his own, right? And much like he did with his alter ego, with a feminine voice that the Mixtaper told us about, he decided to tune the synth down an octave, and he slowed down the whole recording to half speed to record the solo. And then when he sped the solo and the tape back up, it became what it is today at the pitch and the tempo that it is. So he had the opportunity to play it half speed. The synth player in his band, however, had to play it live and did not have such a luxury. So he had to learn the solo at full speed. And he did, like a champ. But man, what an impressive end to the song. It's like classically inspired and very involved and so cool. And nonstop. Like once that synth solo starts, it just keeps going and it feels endless.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's just overall, I mean, it's a good song.
Darn right. One of my actual favorite songs on the album, though. Kind of a sleeper pick. I Would Die For You is up next.
I don't think it's that sleeper of a pick. It's one I also knew, and it's pretty popular, I would say.
Well, yeah, popular, I guess.
Maybe when it's on an album with When Doves Cry and Purple Rain, it would be considered a sleeper pick.
Which it is.
And Let's Go Crazy.
Yeah.
So maybe it is a sleeper pick in the world of this album, but I think in the world of Prince songs, it's not that sleeper of a pick.
I think that's fair. Reasonable. Well, my biggest disappointment with it is it's only 2 minutes and 49 seconds long. Like, that doesn't feel like a possible length of song for Prince to write. I can't believe he sat down there and had this song at less than 3 minutes and said, "Yep, it's done."
Yeah.
And that wasn't always the case. There is a bootleg version of I Would Die For You that is, get this, it's a 31-minute jam.
What?
31 minutes is what I Would Die For You is on this bootleg.
That's insane.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know. That's what I need. That's my kind of I Would Die For You. I Would Die For You is the 4th single from this album, which you mentioned on an album with Let's Go Crazy, When Doves Cry and Purple Rain. Well, this was the 4th single, and it was the final top 10 hit from the record. I Would Die For You climbed to number 8 on the Hot 100, and its B-side, again, such a disservice. Its B-side was a Christmas song, which is crazy.
What?
I know. So when I say it's underappreciated, I guess I just mean it was mishandled.
Yeah.
Because why don't more people know or talk about this song? Why was it the B-side to a Christmas song? Why is this 2 minutes and 49 seconds? Like, it's so good. It's also another one of Prince's signature religious songs, too. It references a Messiah. Lyrically, it includes all kinds of Christian and religious allusions and references, even just in this 2 minutes and 49 seconds. I would die for you. I'm your conscience. I am love. I need to know that you believe, and I would die for you. Like, that's pretty overt. Again, Prince is not a man of many double entendres. He kind of just says what he means. I just really like that hook. Dun, 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 dun. But because I Would Die For You is so short, when he would play it live and stuff, it often got paired with its back-to-back track, Baby I'm a Star. Prince played Baby I'm a Star during his Super Bowl halftime show. I think it's also in Tim Burton's original cut of the 1989 Batman movie, but I think they replaced Baby I'm a Star with something else, and then replaced what they replaced it with something else even still. But it was the original plan for some parts of that movie.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, I know. Baby I'm a Star holds the tragic distinction of being my least favorite song on Purple Rain.
Yeah, it's definitely bottom. It's down there. I don't know if it would get the very bottom spot for me, but it's contending for it, that's for sure.
Yeah, but again, that can't be taken super critically because look at the dang rest of the album. The worst song on this album, it's like being the least favorite $100 bill in a $1,000 stack.
Michael Jackson wouldn't be happy. Michael Jackson wants an all-hits album.
Yeah, Michael Jackson did want his all-hits album, and he almost got it. But you're right. Baby I'm a Star is the worst on this album in the same way that Human Nature is like the worst song on Thriller, right? Like, it's still a song on Thriller, so what are you going to do? Baby I'm a Star is also the grand finale of the movie that rolls into the credits. So it gets that honor, too. It gets to be the song that's playing as the credits are rolling. It's about Prince's rise to and experience with pretty immense fame. You know, just a small boy in Minneapolis going from sniffing McDonald's to choking on his own diarrhea smoke. Like, what a meteoric rise. And that is what Baby I'm a Star is all about.
Yep.
Also, Tina Turner covered Baby I'm a Star in 2000. Because baby Tina Turner was a star also. And then we close this album out on its highest point. Probably, without question. The 8-minute and 41-second title track for the dang album and the dang movie, Purple Rain. Third single, Purple Rain hit number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. It actually got held out of the number 1 spot by Wham! And Wake Me Up Before You Go Go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2 songs that could hardly be more different. Jitterbug, I'm Not Planning on Going Solo. Take Me Dancing Tonight. And then Purple Rain. I only want to see you bathing in the purple rain. Never wanted to be your weekend lover. I could never steal you from another.
Yeah.
Wild. Purple Rain also re-entered the charts on Prince's death, and it got to number 4 in the US. In the UK, it charted even higher than the first time around. And in France, it even went to number 1 back in like 2016. So that's cool. Today, it's certified gold, and in 2011, it made it into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Rolling Stone said that it's the 18th greatest song of all time, and, like When Doves Cry, it was also included in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's list of songs that shaped rock and roll.
Wow. I mean, it's iconic.
Iconic, true. Iconic for what it is, but also its legacy. Like I said, it's the one that closed its Super Bowl performance with maybe the most iconic moment of any halftime show ever.
Yeah.
And then it was also the last song that Prince ever performed live.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. That's kind of fitting.
Yeah, it is. Beautiful. Poetic. It's also interesting to think about that Purple Rain was almost a very different song.
Yeah.
I mean, the Mixtaper kind of hinted at it, and I said we'd talk about it later. Well, we'll talk about it now. Prince's original version of Purple Rain was a country song.
Yep.
That he wanted to sing with Stevie Nicks.
You know, famous country artist.
Famous, for her country music, like Landslide and Dreams. Yeah, right. So he sends this 10-minute instrumental to Stevie Nicks. This epic Purple Rain country ballad instrumental, and Stevie gets this, and Prince says, hey, do you want to write some lyrics to this? You're a great songwriter. You're a superstar in your own right. Do you want to help me write Purple Rain? Stevie listens to this song and she goes, heck no. Like, no way. She said, I listened to it and I just got scared. I called him back and said, I can't do it. I wish I could. It's too much for me. So Prince said, okay, Stevie, if you don't want to write the lyrics, I'll do it myself. He said, of the inspiration for the song and the meaning behind it, he said, when there's blood in the sky, red and blue equals purple. He said, purple rain pertains to the end of the world and being with the one you love and letting your faith and God guide you through the purple rain. His bandmate, Lisa Coleman, also had an interesting insight on it, and she said, it's a new beginning. Purple, the sky at dawn, rain, the cleansing factor. So it's just this moment of healing and reflection and like renewal is what Purple Rain represents. Whether you consider it blood in the sky, the end of the world, or A New Beginning in The Cleansing Rain. Like, the lyrics are incredible. He decided to make the change from country during a rehearsal. They were doing it the country way, and Prince said, hey, let's try it more mellow. And then they sat and they played and they played and they played for 6 hours straight, just tweaking the arrangement, changing it up, until they finally felt like they hit the nail on the head with what Purple Rain is today. He was actually worried it might be too similar to Journey's Faithfully, a song I know you know well. But when he brought it to Journey's Jonathan Cain and was like, guys, is this too close to Faithfully? Jonathan Cain was like, what? Like, no.
No, it's not.
No, it's just like you use the same 4 chords, but this song is in no way Faithfully. We won't sue you if you put it out. And Prince said, thank goodness. Because I'm going to name my entire movie after it, and it's going to become my biggest hit.
Yeah.
Wild. And in the movie, each verse of the song happens as the kid tries to fix all his relationships one by one. Each verse kind of represents one of these relationships kind of reaching its climax, like its turning point, tipping point in one way or another. What a beautiful song. What a great way to close the album. What a legacy to leave behind as an artist Purple Rain is. I think that takes us to Final Spin. I have nothing more to say unless you do.
No, I think I'm ready to say my final thoughts.
Excellent. Well, you're going to have to wait until I say my final thoughts first. Then I'll have more thoughts on your final thoughts. Really, our thoughts aren't final until we're dead.
Dang.
I am giving the music on Purple Rain a 93. Prince is an excellent songwriter. I think he really can find a groove. I mean, this man has no end to like the melodic brilliance kind of flowing out of him on all these songs. And so much of it is driven by the way he's arranged the songs too and the instrumentation he's put behind him. So we'll get to that. But 93 for the music for me. 9 songs is not a lot. By the track numbers, it's a pretty short album. And none of these songs is very forgettable. Each one is powerful and memorable in its own right. Lyrics have given an 87. Tough sometimes to work the plot of your movie into an album that doesn't feel tropey. I think a lot of times movie soundtracks, especially with songs that appear diegetically in the movie, run the risk of being too plot forward, right? The soundtrack version becomes inaccessible because it's trying to do too much storytelling. And I think Prince does an excellent job of avoiding that altogether. 87 for the lyrics, 94 for the instruments and production. I mean, he did so much of this himself. That's so cool. That's so impressive. And it still sounds so good. Again, it sounds like a product of its time, but it's not like aged poorly even slightly. It still sounds fresh and exciting and energetic and powerful. There's a lot of good tension and release in Purple Rain. And a lot of that, again, just comes from the way he set it up. No bass line on When Doves Cry. The super cool ballad of Purple Rain, the acoustic guitar on Take Me With You, the organ and the funeral eulogy style of Let's Go Crazy, the techno funk of Computer Blue, like everything is a different flavor and everything really gels well. For the vibe, 92. As far as soundtrack albums go, it really does not get much better than this. So, Purple Rain gets an overall score of a 92.1 from me, landing it at number 50, top 50 on my list for now. It's just barely below Queen, just barely above our other sniffer extraordinaire, Florence and the Machine. So that's curious. I did not realize that our 2 facts about smelling would end up so close together on my list, but here they are, top 50. I can't imagine this album scoring poorly for you, so I'm excited to see where you put it.
Yeah, for me, this is an iconic artist with an iconic album of which I knew several iconic songs off of.
And had heard the whole thing and seen the movie to boot.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying that this one gets a 2 from me. No,
oh my gosh. Oh, whoa. Man, do you hear that? Doves are crying.
This one gets an easy 9 out of 10 from the Cotton Dog.
Yeah, that's no surprise there.
I think I'm gonna give it, 9 smoke machines out of 10.
9 poopy smoke machines.
I'm gonna give a lot of people diarrhea. Those 9 smoke machines.
Yeah, that's a lot of smoke. I really can only imagine just the smell and the thickness of the air and these. I mean, it's really unpleasant to think about. Smoke so thick that it messes you up that bad. Oh, awful. Well, where in your 9s is it going? If it's an easy 9, that must be solid.
Yeah, it's going right above The Lost Years by The Strike.
Oh, it's surpassed one of your picks.
Yeah.
Not quite going above Toto 4, though.
No, Toto 4 is great.
Rosanna still has Darling Nikki beat.
Yeah, it's an awesome album. My top 3 in album order.
Oh, boy.
Let's Go Crazy.
Of course.
When Doves Cry.
Whoa, big jump.
I know, big jump.
But so backloaded on the B side.
Yeah. Honorable mention to I Would Die For You. And, of course, Purple Rain.
So you didn't even take extras.
No.
You deprived Christofferson and didn't even take extras.
No, I deprived Christofferson because I wanted to have all 4 of my picks for this one.
Well, you know what? That's fair. Reasonable. Yeah, for some reason in my mind, I fully thought you would take an extra 1 or 2.
I try to be conservative with that and really make them count.
Yeah, unless it's an album like The Wellerman where you take 4 extra picks. You know, whatever it may be.
It really counted. That's just how good it was.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For playlist picks, I mean, can we just agree it's got to be Purple Rain and When Doves Cry, or are we going to go crazy?
I think When Doves Cry has to be there. I don't really see how Purple Rain doesn't make it, but there's so many other good songs.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be those 2.
I know.
There's a lot on here that's good, but those 2 just powerhouses.
Yeah, they're pretty incomparable.
Put it this way, I'm taking When Doves Cry, and so if you don't take Purple Rain, that's on you.
I have to. As much as I would love to take I Would Die For You, I think it's too short and not enough.
Sure.
And Purple Rain is just overwhelmingly good.
Yeah, it's definitely not too short. 8 minutes and 41 seconds.
No, it represents like a quarter of the length of this album.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about its length.
But I think that does it, right?
I do think that does it. Probably wraps us up with a bow for this Prince episode. I'm so excited. I've been really looking forward to this one for a long time.
Yeah, I was wondering when we'd do Prince.
Uh-huh. Who's bound to come down the pike eventually. If you want more Spin It, be sure to like, rate, follow, subscribe. Do all the things that you can do on your podcast platform of choice. But also, you can find us on social media at Spin It Pod Official on Instagram and at Spin It Pod on X. You can find us on our website, www.spinitpod.com. Surely the doves will not cry if you visit our website.
Tell a friend that you would go smell a McDonald's with about the podcast.
Oh, man, yeah, maybe go smell a McDonald's with them as you listen.
Ooh, maybe the podcast is enhanced by the smell of McDonald's.
I honestly think it's the other way around, and the smell of McDonald's is enhanced by listening to a cool fact about McDonald's or the McBarge or something like it.
Yeah, that's true. We've had a few McDonald's appearances on the podcast. Or maybe the podcast is enhanced by eating spaghetti and orange juice at the same time.
I don't think so.
But probably not.
I'd bet against that. Again, don't try that at home. But we'll see you next week when we're going to rank another album, as always. And until that time comes, make sure you always remember to keep
spinning.
So if I can't throw trash at people on stage, what can I throw at people on stage?
Flowers.
Oh, flowers is really good, actually. That's
underwear.
Well, yeah, Miley knows all about that. Underwear, flowers in underwear.
Yeah, I would say underwear and like roses
are the 2 good
typically
ones.
Like the 2 stereotypical things to throw on stage that are good. Tomatoes. People throw tomatoes, but again, that's kind of mean.
It's kind of bad, yeah.
It's mean, but it's something that's done.
Is it really done though? I feel like I've never heard of that in real life.
Well, not anymore, but back in the day.
Back in the olden days.
Back in the day.
Maybe throw tomatoes and oranges to simulate the spaghetti and orange juice thing.
Ooh. But only if it's like a Prince tribute concert.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can only go if it's a Prince Rogers Nelson tribute.
Oh, that was another fun fact that the Mixtaper didn't bring. Prince would sometimes enforce a dress code.
Oh.
To attend his concerts.
Like what? Had to dress like Prince?
Well, usually it was just like dress nice for certain performances he was giving at nicer places.
Oh.
But sometimes he did some weirder ones.
I can only imagine.
Anyway, I gotta go buy a smoke machine.
Wait, what for?
You don't need to know.